The Galactic Assembly Station hung in the darkness of space like a massive jewel orbiting the neutral world of Keth Prime. Its gleaming towers and docking bays stretched across 15 kilometers of metal and crystal, home to over 200 species that called themselves the ruling powers of the known. Galaxy Captain Daniel Hayes stood at the viewport of the human diplomatic vessel Horizon and watched the station grow larger as they approached. His reflection stared back at him, a man in his 40s with gray touching his temples and eyes that had seen too many negotiations end badly. "Captain, we're being hailed by station control," Lieutenant Nicole Carter said from her position at the security console. She was young for her rank, but Hayes trusted her instincts more than anyone else on the ship. "Put them through." "Lieutenant." The communication officer's hands moved across his panel and a harsh clicking voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel Horizon, you are cleared for docking at Bay 47. Proceed directly to the council chambers upon arrival. The assembly awaits your presence." Hayes nodded to his crew, even though the alien controller couldn't see him. "Acknowledged. Station control. Will comply." The channel closed, and Hayes turned to look at Ambassador Kevin Morrison, who sat in the observer's chair, looking calm despite what they all knew was coming. Morrison was a tall man with dark skin and eyes that missed nothing. A career diplomat who had spent the last 20 years representing humanity to alien powers that barely acknowledged Earth's existence. "They're not even pretending this is a friendly meeting," Carter said quietly. Morrison smiled, but there was no humor in it. "They stopped pretending 3 months ago when we established our colony on Verdun 4. The Council considers that system theirs, even though no one has lived there for 1,000 years. Hayes guided the Horizon into the docking bay with practiced ease. The ship settled onto the landing platform with barely a vibration, and within minutes, they were walking through corridors filled with aliens of every shape and size imaginable. The council chambers were designed to intimidate. The ceiling rose 100 meters overhead, and the walls were lined with seats for the representatives of every major species in the galaxy. At the center sat the High Council, the 5 most powerful species that controlled galactic policy through a combination of military might and economic pressure. High Chancellor Vexter of the Trolaxian Empire sat in the largest seat. His insectoid body was covered in gleaming black chitin, and his compound eyes reflected the light in unsettling patterns. To his right sat Councillor Zan of the Krillian Collective, a reptilian creature whose scales shifted colors with his mood. "The human delegation will approach." Vexter's voice boomed through the chamber. Translated instantly by the universal system all species used Hayes, and Morrison walked forward with Carter following 2 steps behind. Around them thousands of aliens watched in silence. "Ambassador Morrison," Vexter began, "humanity has been summoned to answer for violations of established galactic law. Your species has expanded into 17 systems in the past 5 years without council approval. You have ignored multiple warnings to halt your colonial efforts. You have disrespected the authority of this body." Morrison stood straight and spoke clearly. "High Chancellor, with respect, humanity has only settled in unclaimed systems. We have followed all established laws regarding territorial rights and have not entered any space claimed by another species." A clicking laugh echoed through the chamber. Vexter's mandibles moved in what Hayes had learned was the Trolaxian equivalent of a dismissive smile. "You speak of laws as if you understand them. Humanity is barely 200 years into space travel. You are children playing at being a galactic power." Zan leaned forward, his scales turning a deep red. "The Council has decided to offer humanity a choice. You will halt all expansion immediately. You will submit all colonial activities to Council oversight. You will accept galactic supervisors on Earth and all human worlds to ensure compliance." Morrison's expression didn't change, but Hayes saw his jaw tighten. "And if we refuse?" Then the Council will take collective action to correct your behavior, Vexter said simply. We have assembled a fleet of 500 warships in neutral space. They await our command. Humanity's entire military could not stand against even 1/10 of that force. The chamber filled with sounds of agreement from the assembled species. Many of them had faced council correction in the past and knew what it meant. Hayes watched Morrison carefully. They had discussed this possibility during the journey to the station, but hearing it stated so bluntly made it real. High Chancellor. Members of the council, Morrison said, his voice carrying through the massive room. Humanity seeks only to explore and settle unclaimed space. We have no desire for conflict with any species. We respect the rights of all beings to live in peace. Then you will accept our terms. Zan interrupted. No. The single word fell into silence. Around the chamber, aliens stirred in surprise, and some in what sounded like amusement. Vexer rose to his full height, towering over the human delegation. You refuse? You dare to refuse the collective will of the Galactic Council? Morrison met the High Chancellor's compound eyes without flinching. We refuse to surrender our rights as a sovereign species. We refuse to submit to oversight we have not agreed to. We refuse to halt our peaceful expansion into unclaimed territory. Then you are fools, Vexter said flatly. Your primitive weapons and handful of ships are nothing. Earth's military is insignificant compared to any single council member. You have 30 standard days to reconsider. After that, the correction fleet will move into human space, and you will learn what happens to species that defy the natural order. Zan's scales had turned almost black with satisfaction. All young species learn this lesson eventually. Some learn through wisdom. Others learn through pain. Humanity will learn one way or another. Morrison bowed slightly. A gesture of respect, but not submission. Then we have nothing more to discuss. Humanity will send its response within the 30 days. See that you do. Vexter dismissed them with a wave of one clawed limb. And understand that we show you mercy by offering this choice at all. Many species before you were simply corrected without warning. As they walked back through the corridors toward the horizon, Carter spoke quietly. Sir, they really think we're that weak. Hayes nodded. They have no idea what Earth has been preparing for. They see our public fleet numbers and assume that's everything we have. Morrison's expression was grim. 30 days. That's not much time. It's enough, Hayes said. By the time they realize their mistake, it will be too late. Back on the bridge of the horizon, Hayes sat in his command chair and looked out at the Galactic Assembly Station one more time. Lieutenant Carter, send a priority message to Earth. Use the encrypted channel. Inform Admiral Turner that the Council has made its move. Message sent. Captain. Hayes watched the stars as the horizon pulled away from the station. Set course for Earth. Maximum speed. We need to be there when the response is prepared. Behind them in the council chambers, Vexter and Zan were already celebrating what they saw as an inevitable victory. Humans are like all the others, Zan said. They think their small successes make them equals. They will submit or be broken. Vexter nodded his massive head. In 30 days, the galaxy will see what happens when primitive species forget their place. It will be a useful reminder to the others. Neither of them noticed the small human reconnaissance drone that had attached itself to the station's hull during the Horizon's docking. Neither of them knew that every word spoken in the council chambers had been recorded and transmitted back to Earth. The countdown had begun. The United Nations Space Command headquarters in Geneva looked peaceful from the outside. Tourists walked through the plaza, taking pictures while children played near the fountains, completely unaware that 300 meters below ground the most important military leaders in human history were gathering for an emergency session. Admiral Jacob Turner stood at the head of the war room table and studied the holographic display floating before him. The display showed the Council fleet assembling in neutral space. 500 warships arranged in standard formation, each one broadcasting its position proudly, as if daring humanity to respond. They're not even trying to hide, General Ryan Cooper said from his seat to Turner's left. Cooper commanded the Colonial Defense Forces, and his people had been tracking the Council fleet since it first assembled. Why would they? Donna Amanda Richards asked. She was the head of Advanced Weapons Research and had flown in from the lunar facility specifically for this meeting. They think we have maybe 50 combat-capable ships. They believe their numbers alone guarantee victory. President Lauren Mitchell entered the room, and everyone stood. She waved them back to their seats and took her place at the table. "I've read Ambassador Morrison's report," she said without preamble. "The Council has given us 30 days to surrender or face correction. What are our options?" Turner activated a new display that showed Earth's actual military strength. "Madam President, the Council's intelligence is 15 years out of date. They know about our public fleet, the ships we use for patrol and escort duties. What they don't know is that we've been preparing for this exact scenario since first contact." The display changed to show vast shipyards hidden beyond the Outer Rim. Project Phantom has been building warships in secret for 12 years. We currently have 200 stealth-capable warships fully operational and another 100 in final testing. These ships use technology the Council doesn't even know exists. Mitchell leaned forward. "Explain." Dr. Richards stood and pulled up technical schematics. 20 years ago, a derelict alien ship was found drifting in the Kuiper Belt. The species that built it was unknown, and the ship itself was over 1,000 years old. We've been reverse engineering its technology ever since. She highlighted several key systems. We've developed shield technology that's more advanced than anything currently used by Council species. Our kinetic weapons can bypass energy shields entirely by using a frequency modulation system. Our slipstream drives are 30% faster than standard, faster than light engines. Cooper added his own data to the display. We've also been studying Council military tactics for 2 decades. We know how they fight, how they organize their fleets, where their weaknesses are. They've fought each other for so long that they've stopped innovating. They rely on overwhelming numbers and superior firepower. But we can't just destroy them, Mitchell said firmly. Even if we could win a military conflict, we'd be starting a war with half the galaxy. Humanity would be isolated and eventually overwhelmed. Turner nodded. That's why we've developed an alternative strategy. We call it demonstrate. Don't destroy. Instead of fighting the Council fleet, we show them that we could destroy them, but choose not to. We make them understand that mercy, not weakness, guides human policy. He pulled up a new tactical display. Commander Brandon Lee is currently en route to Tralaxian space aboard the stealth ship Shadow. His mission is to penetrate their home system defenses and gather complete targeting data on every military installation. Once we have that data, we'll send it to them along with a message. What kind of message? Mitchell asked. Richard smiled coldly. We'll show them exactly how we could destroy their homeworld defenses. We'll highlight every weakness, every gap in their coverage, every vulnerable point. Then we'll tell them that we chose not to exploit those weaknesses, and we'll do the same for every major Council species, Cooper added. Within a single day, they'll all receive packages showing us that we've been in their most secure systems without them ever knowing. The psychological impact will be devastating. Mitchell was quiet for a long moment. You're proposing that we violate the sovereignty of 15 different species simultaneously. We're proposing that we demonstrate capability without causing casualties, Turner said carefully. We'll be in and out without firing a shot. No one gets hurt. No property gets damaged. They just learn that humanity is far more dangerous than they believed. And if that doesn't work, Mitchell asked, if they decide to attack anyway? Turner's expression hardened. Then we defend ourselves. but we do it in a way that minimizes casualties on both sides. We disable rather than destroy. We capture rather than kill. We show them that even in war, humanity chooses restraint when possible. Cooper pulled up intelligence reports. Madam President, we've been monitoring Council communications. Councilor Zan is pushing hard for immediate military action. He sees this as an opportunity to put humanity in its place and strengthen his own position. High Chancellor Vexter is more cautious, but his pride won't let him back down. So we're already committed to this path, Mitchell said, the moment they assembled that fleet and made their demands. Yes, Turner confirmed. If we submit now, we'll be subject to Council control forever. If we resist without demonstrating our capabilities, they'll simply crush us. This is our only option. Dr. Richards brought up images of the Shadow and its crew. Commander Lee is one of our best. He's done 3 deep reconnaissance missions into Council space over the past 5 years. If anyone can penetrate Trolaxian defenses, it's him. Mitchell studied the faces of her military commanders. How confident are you that this plan will work? 90% confident that we can successfully infiltrate and gather the data, Turner said. 70% confident that the Council will choose negotiation over continued aggression. 30% chance they'll attack anyway out of pride or stupidity. And if they attack, then they'll learn why you don't threaten humanity's children. Cooper said grimly. Mitchell stood and everyone rose with her. You have my authorization to proceed with demonstrate. Don't destroy. But understand this clearly. If we go to war, I want every effort made to preserve life on both sides. We're not fighting to exterminate the Council species. We're fighting to earn their respect. Yes. Madam President, Turner said after Mitchell left. Turner activated a secure channel. Commander Lee, this is Admiral Turner. You are authorized to proceed with Operation Phantom Eye. Penetrate Trolaxian space and gather all specified data. Avoid detection, but if you're discovered, you are authorized to defend yourself and withdraw. Lee's voice came back crisp and clear despite the enormous distance. Understood, Admiral. Shadow is 3 days from the Trolaxian border. We'll be in their home system within a week. Good hunting, Commander. The fate of our species may depend on your success. No pressure then, Lee said with dry humor. We'll get it done. Sir. Turner closed the channel and looked at Cooper and Richards. Now we wait and see if humanity's gamble pays off. Dr. Richards pulled up a timeline. We have 23 days left before the Council's deadline. Commander Lee needs 7 days to reach Trolaxian space, 3 days to gather data, and 7 days to return. That leaves 6 days to analyze the data and send it to all Council species simultaneously. Tight schedule, Cooper observed. It'll work, Turner said with more confidence than he felt. It has to work. 3,000 light years away aboard the Shadow. Commander Brandon Lee studied the data flowing across his screens. Lieutenant Stephanie Walsh, his tactical officer, was running simulations of Trolaxian defense patterns. Sir, based on what we know about their technology, we should be able to get within 100,000 kilometers of their homeworld before their sensors could even theoretically detect us. Walsh said, theoretically, Lee repeated. I'd prefer certainty. In war there is no certainty, sir. There's only preparation and skill. Lee smiled. Fair enough. Prepare the ship for stealth insertion. Once we cross their border, I want absolute communication silence. No transmissions, no active sensors, nothing that could give us away. Aye, sir. The Shadow was the most advanced ship humanity had ever built. Its hull could bend light around it, making it effectively invisible. Its engines produced almost no thermal signature. Its weapons were designed to disable rather than destroy. Lee had commanded her for 3 years and knew every system intimately. Lieutenant, run a full diagnostic on all stealth systems. I want to know if anything is even 0.1% off nominal performance. Running diagnostics now. Sir, as the Shadow slipped through space toward Trolaxian territory, Lee thought about what they were about to do. They would be the first humans to see the Tralaxian homeworld. They would be violating every treaty and custom regarding sovereign space, but they would also be saving humanity from a war that would cost millions of lives on both sides. Sir, diagnostics complete. All systems optimal. Excellent. Set course for the Tralaxian border. Maximum stealth speed. Course set, sir. Arrival in 6 days. 14 hours. Lee settled back in his command chair and watched the stars. Stream past the council thought humanity was weak and unprepared. In 6 days, they would begin to learn how wrong they were. The 30-day deadline passed in silence from humanity. Across council, space representatives gathered to hear reports about Earth's response, but there was nothing to hear. No transmission of surrender, no plea for negotiation. No response at all. High Chancellor Vexter stood before the assembled council and spread his clawed limbs wide. The humans have chosen pride over wisdom. They believe their silence shows strength, but it only reveals their foolishness. The correction fleet will begin moving toward human space immediately. Councillor Zan's scales rippled with satisfaction. Finally, we will teach these primitives their place. Send a message to all council species. Let them see what happens when young races forget to respect their elders. 500 warships began the journey toward Earth. Their progress broadcast across the galactic network for all to witness. Within the council chambers there was celebration and anticipation. No. One noticed a small disturbance in space near the Tralaxian homeworld. The shadow had crossed the border 3 days earlier and now hung in orbit just beyond the range of their most advanced sensors. Commander Brandon Lee watched his screens with absolute focus. Every military installation on the planet below was being mapped in perfect detail. Every orbital platform cataloged. Every defense satellite tracked. Lieutenant Wash, status on data collection? 97% complete, sir. We should have everything within the hour. Lee nodded but didn't relax. They had been in Tralaxian space for 16 hours and every minute increased the risk of discovery. Keep all systems at minimum power. I want our signature as close to background radiation as possible. Aye, sir. Current stealth efficiency is 0.998. They'd need to be within 50 kilometers to detect us. The Tralaxian homeworld of Vex Prime was a fortress. 300 orbital weapons platforms surrounded it in overlapping fields of fire. The planet's surface bristled with ground-based defenses. A fleet of 200 warships patrolled the system in constant rotation. It should have been impenetrable, and to any normal species, it would have been. But humanity had studied Tralaxian technology for 20 years and knew exactly where to look for weaknesses. Sir, data collection complete. We have full schematics of their entire defense grid. Lee allowed himself a small smile. Excellent work. Now for the hard part. Lieutenant, prepare to upload our package to their military network. Walsh's fingers moved across her console. Upload package ready, sir. It contains complete maps of their defenses with all vulnerabilities. Highlighted plus our message. Do it. The data package slipped through. Tralaxian security systems like they weren't there. Humanity's understanding of their encryption was complete, thanks to years of careful study. Within seconds, the package appeared on the screens of every high-ranking Tralaxian military officer simultaneously. Alarms began blaring across Vex Prime as officers realized what they were seeing. The shadow sensors picked up the sudden spike in communications traffic. Sir, they've found our package. Tralaxian military channels are going crazy. Good. Lieutenant, take us out of here. Best possible speed while maintaining stealth. The shadow slipped away from Vex Prime like a ghost. By the time Tralaxian ships scrambled to search for intruders, there was nothing to find. High Chancellor Vexter was in an emergency meeting with his military commanders when the package arrived on his personal terminal. What he saw made his compound eyes widen in shock. and something very close to fear. The humans had mapped every single one of his homeworld's defenses down to the smallest detail. They had highlighted 17 critical weaknesses in the orbital grid that could be exploited to disable the entire system. They had identified 43 points where a coordinated strike could penetrate to the surface, and at the bottom of the data was a simple message in perfect Trilaxian script. We could have struck you here, here, and here. Your defenses would have fallen in 6 minutes. Your government facilities would have been vulnerable. Your people would have been at our mercy. We chose not to. We chose to show you this instead. Reconsider your position on humanity. We seek peace, but we will not be threatened. We could have, but we didn't. Vexthor's mandibles clicked in agitation. How is this possible? Our security is the best in the galaxy. No one has ever penetrated our home system undetected. His chief military advisor, a grizzled veteran named Keth, studied the data with growing concern. High Chancellor, this information is completely accurate. I verified it against our own security assessments. Somehow the humans were here, in orbit around Vex Prime, and we never knew it. But their technology is primitive. They've only been in space for 200 years. Apparently, we were wrong about that, Keth said quietly within the hour. 14 other major council species received similar packages. Each one contained complete schematics of their homeworld, defenses with vulnerabilities highlighted, and the same message about human restraint panic spread through council chambers as representatives realized the implications. Humanity had been in their most secure systems without anyone detecting them. They could have struck at the heart of every major species simultaneously, and the council would have been helpless to stop them. Counselor Zan received this package while aboard his flagship, leading a section of the correction fleet. When he saw the complete breakdown of his species' defensive weaknesses, his scales went pale with shock. This is impossible, he hissed at his tactical officer. The Krillian home system has defenses that took us 1,000 years to perfect. How could humans map them all? His tactical officer's voice was shaken. Counselor, this data shows they were inside our sensor grid for at least 12 hours. They cataloged everything, including classified installations that aren't on any public records. Zan's scales darkened with rage. Are you telling me that humans waltzed into our home system and we were blind to their presence? Yes, Counselor. The correction fleet slowed its advance as reports flooded in from across council space. Everywhere the story was the same. Humanity had demonstrated capability far beyond what anyone had believed possible on Earth. Admiral Turner watched the galactic network and allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Reports coming in from all 15 target species. Admiral, his communications officer announced. All packages delivered successfully. Council communications show widespread panic and confusion. Dr. Richards stood beside Turner watching the same data. The psychological impact is even better than we projected. They're terrified because we were in their homes, and they never knew it. General Cooper joined them at the command center. The correction fleet has stopped its advance. They're holding position while the council convenes emergency sessions. Turner activated his communication system. Attention council species, this is Admiral Jacob Turner of the United Earth Space Command. You have seen what we are capable of. You have seen that we could have struck you when you were most vulnerable. You have seen that we chose restraint instead of violence. He paused to let his words sink in. Humanity does not seek conquest. We do not desire to rule over others. We seek only the freedom to explore and settle unclaimed space without interference. We have demonstrated our capabilities not as a threat, but as a deterrent. We will defend ourselves if attacked, but we prefer peace. Turner's voice hardened. Withdraw your correction fleet. Cease your demands for human submission. Recognize humanity's right to exist as a sovereign species. If you choose continued aggression, you will learn that what we have shown you is only a fraction of our capabilities. The message broadcast across every major communications channel in Council space inside the Council chambers on Keth Prime. The assembled representatives sat in stunned silence. Finally, High Chancellor Vexter rose to speak. The humans have made their point. They possess technology and capabilities we did not know existed. They have shown restraint when they could have shown destruction. He looked around at his fellow council members. But are we to simply accept this humiliation? Are we to let these upstart humans dictate terms to us? Councillor Zan stood as well, though his scales were still pale. High Chancellor, I propose we continue our advance. The humans may have clever stealth ships, but they cannot stand against 500 warships in open battle. We must show them that penetrating our defenses in peacetime means nothing when we are prepared for war. A Krillian military commander approached Zan and whispered urgently in his ear. Zan's expression changed from confidence to uncertainty. What is it? Vexter demanded. I have just received word that human colony ships are moving through the border region near Krillian space. One convoy of 6 ships with 30,000 civilians, including families and children. Zan's scales rippled with dark satisfaction. Then we will teach the humans a lesson about the cost of defiance. I will take my personal fleet and intercept those colony ships. When the humans see their civilians destroyed, they will understand that we are serious. Several council members protested, but Zan would not be swayed. This is not subject to debate. I act within my authority as counselor. The humans need to learn that actions have consequences. Vexter watched Zan leave the chambers. This will not end well, he said quietly to his aide. The humans chose restraint when they had the advantage. Zan is choosing aggression when he does not understand his enemy. I fear we are about to learn why that is a mistake. Commander Brandon Lee brought. Captain Andrew Martinez stood on the bridge of the colony ship, New Hope, and watched the stars stream past as they traveled toward their new home on Verdun 4. Behind him in the ship's passenger sections, 3,200 colonists were settling into their quarters. Excited about the fresh start waiting for them, his daughter Katie sat in the observer's chair next to his command station. She was 9 years old with bright eyes and endless curiosity about space travel. Dad, how much longer until we get there? She asked for the 10th time that day. Martinez smiled at her. About 8 more days, sweetheart. Why don't you go check on your mom in medical? She's probably wondering where you are. Katie jumped up and ran toward the exit, but stopped and turned back. Dad, are we really safe out here? I heard some of the adults talking about aliens who don't like us. Martinez kept his expression calm, even though her question worried him. We have escort ships protecting us, honey. Lieutenant Carter and her crews are some of the best in the fleet. They'll keep us safe. Katie seemed satisfied and ran off to find her mother. Martinez turned back to his displays and tried to ignore the knot of concern in his stomach. The New Hope was traveling with 5 other colony ships in a loose convoy formation. Protecting them were 6 patrol ships led by Lieutenant Nicole Carter aboard the corvette. Defender Carter had been reassigned from the Horizon specifically for this mission, and she took her responsibility seriously. 30,000 civilians were depending on her small force to keep them safe during the 2-week journey to Verdun 4, Lieutenant. I'm picking up unusual readings on long-range sensors, her tactical officer reported. Looks like a large fleet coming in fast from Krillian space. Carter felt ice form in her stomach. How large? Preliminary count shows at least 100 ships, ma'am. All military class. They're on an intercept course with our convoy. Carter activated the emergency channel. All colony ships. This is Defender. We have multiple contacts approaching from bearing 270. Increase speed to maximum and prepare to scatter on my command. On the New Hope. Martinez heard the warning, and his hands moved automatically to increase the ship's engines to full power. All passengers. This is the captain. Proceed to emergency stations immediately. This is not a drill. Katie heard the announcement over the ship-wide speakers and felt her heart start to pound. Her mother grabbed her hand and they ran toward their assigned emergency shelter. The Krillian fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly in front of the convoy. 100 warships arranged in attack formation, their weapons already charging. Counselor Zan's voice broadcast across all channels. Human vessels, you are in violation of Council authority. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with deadly force. Carter knew immediately that this was a trap. Zan wasn't interested in boarding anyone. He wanted to make an example of the convoy. All escort ships. Form defensive screen around the colony ships. Target their command vessels and prepare to engage. Her tactical officer's voice was tight with stress. Lieutenant, we're outnumbered 17-1. We can't win this fight. We don't need to win, Carter said grimly. We need to buy time. Send distress signal to Earth on all emergency channels. Maximum priority. The first Krillian shot streaked across space and slammed into one of Carter's patrol ships. The escort corvette Valiant exploded in a ball of fire. Scatter pattern Delta. Carter ordered, get those colony ships moving in different directions. The 6 colony ships broke formation and accelerated away from each other while Carter's remaining 5 escorts moved to intercept the Krillian fleet. Another patrol ship died under concentrated fire. Its crew of 43 never had a chance to evacuate. Lieutenant, Earth is too far away, her communications officer said. Even at maximum speed, a relief force would take days to get here. Carter's hands gripped her armrests. Then we hold as long as we can. Target their engines and weapon systems. Try to disable rather than destroy. Maybe we can slow them down. The Krillian fleet wasn't interested in fair combat. They concentrated their fire on the human escorts with overwhelming force. A 3rd patrol ship took critical damage and went tumbling through space. Its hull breached in a dozen places on the New Hope. Martinez watched helplessly as the escorts died trying to protect his ship and the others. Can we outrun them? He asked his navigator. No, sir. They're faster, and once they finish off the escorts, they'll hunt us down one by one. Kathy hugged her mother in the emergency shelter. Mom, what's happening? Why are there explosions? Her mother held her close and tried to keep the fear out of her voice. It's going to be okay, baby. The fleet will protect us. But she knew that was a lie. She could hear the desperate battle through the thin walls and knew they were losing. Carter's defender took a direct hit that knocked out her shields. Her tactical officer reported critical damage to their engines. Lieutenant, we can't hold them much longer. Keep firing, Carter ordered. Every second we survive is another second those colony ships have to get away. Zan watched the battle from his flagship and felt satisfaction. The humans were brave, but hopelessly outmatched. Target the colony ships, he ordered. It's time to send Earth a message about the price of defiance. His weapons officer hesitated. Counselor, those are civilian vessels. Many have children aboard. Zan's scales darkened. That is precisely why we target them. Humanity needs to understand that their rebellion has consequences. Fire on the nearest colony ship. But before the order could be executed, space itself seemed to ripple and twist. One moment there was empty void, and the next moment 200 human warships materialized in perfect formation. Surrounding the Krillian fleet, Admiral Jacob Turner's voice boomed across every communication channel. Krillian vessels, cease fire immediately. You have attacked civilian targets, including children. There will be no second warning. Jean stared at his displays in shock. Where had these ships come from? How had they arrived so quickly? All vessels, ignore the human threats, he ordered. They're bluffing. Maintain firing on the colony ships. Turner's expression went cold. You chose to target our children. We will not give you a second chance. All ships, weapons free. Disable their fleet. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. The human stealth fleet had been waiting in the system, cloaked and hidden, monitoring the convoy's progress. Carter's distress signal went out. They had simply decloaked all at once. The Krillian fleet found themselves surrounded by ships using technology they had never encountered. Human kinetic weapons didn't use energy that could be deflected by shields. Instead, they fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds that punched through defenses like they weren't there. Within 30 seconds, every Krillian ship had lost shields and weapons. Targeting was so precise that human gunners were hitting individual systems without causing catastrophic damage. Zan's flagship took hits that disabled its engines, weapons, and communications in rapid succession. His bridge crew watched in horror as their mighty warship was reduced to a drifting hulk in under a minute across the battlefield. 97 Krillian ships were disabled so quickly their crews barely had time to process what was happening. Only 3 Krillian vessels continued to fire on the colony ships despite the overwhelming response. Turner personally designated those 3 ships as priority targets. Those 3 showed they'll kill civilians even when facing certain defeat. He said quietly, "Destroy them." The 3 ships vanished in brief flares of light. The entire engagement lasted 7 minutes from first shot to last. 97 Krillian warships disabled and captured, 3 destroyed, and 0 human casualties beyond the 3 escorts that had died in the initial ambush. Carter's damaged defender was surrounded by human fleet vessels offering assistance. "Lieutenant Carter, this is Admiral Turner. Well done holding the line. Your crews bought us the time we needed to position the fleet." Carter could barely speak through her relief. "Admiral, the colony ships? All safe. Not a single civilian casualty. You and your people are heroes." On the New Hope, Katie watched through a viewport as massive human warships surrounded their small colony vessel protectively. "Mom, look!" The fleet came. "We're safe." Her mother wept with relief and held her daughter close. Martinez spoke to his passengers over the ship-wide system. "All hands. The crisis is over. The fleet has secured the area. We are safe." Cheers erupted through the New Hope and the other colony ships aboard his disabled flagship. Counselor Zan watched his screens and realized what his pride had cost him. He had attacked human civilians, and in response humanity had demonstrated military capability that made the entire Council fleet look primitive. His communications officer managed to restore partial systems. "Counselor, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Turner." Turner's face appeared on Zan's screen. "Counselor Zan, you attacked unarmed civilians, including children. You continued firing even when facing overwhelming force. You left us no choice but to respond with maximum effect." Zan's scales had gone completely pale. "We surrender. Please, no more." "We surrender. Your surrender is accepted," Turner said coldly. "Your ships will be towed to neutral space, where your crews will be transferred to Council vessels. You personally will be taken to Earth to face charges for attacking civilian targets." Turner leaned forward, and his voice dropped to something dangerous. The battle footage spread across the galactic network within hours. Every species with access to communication systems watched in stunned silence as humanity's stealth fleet disabled nearly 100 Krillian warships in 7 minutes in the Council chambers on Keth Prime. High Chancellor Vexter watched the recording for the 5th time and felt something he had not experienced in decades. Genuine fear. Analysis. He demanded of his military advisors. General Keth stood and activated a holographic display. "High Chancellor, the humans demonstrated technology at least 50 years beyond our current capabilities. Their weapons bypass our shields completely. Their targeting systems are precise enough to disable specific systems without destroying the vessel. Their stealth technology is so advanced that 200 warships were hiding in that system, and we detected nothing. Another advisor added his assessment. More concerning is their tactical discipline. They could have destroyed the entire Krillian fleet, but chose to disable and capture instead. Only the 3 ships that continued firing on civilians were destroyed. This shows remarkable restraint under combat conditions. Vexthor's mandibles clicked in agitation. How did we miss this? How did our intelligence fail so completely? The humans deliberately misled us, Keth explained. Their public fleet numbers are accurate for their patrol and escort vessels. What we didn't know was that they've been building a secret fleet for over a decade. Project Phantom was completely unknown to our intelligence services. An emergency communication interrupted the meeting. Ambassador Kevin Morrison was requesting an audience with the full council. Put him through. Vexthor ordered. Morrison's image appeared in the center of the chamber. He stood in what looked like a war room on Earth, with Admiral Turner visible behind him. High Chancellor, members of the Council. Humanity wishes to address recent events. Vexthor gestured for him to continue. You were warned that humanity possesses capabilities beyond what you believed. You were shown evidence of those capabilities when we penetrated your home systems. Despite this warning, Counselor Zan chose to attack civilian vessels carrying families and children. Morrison's voice remained calm, but there was steel beneath it. Humanity responded with overwhelming force, but also with restraint. We could have destroyed every Krillian ship in that engagement. We chose to disable and capture instead. We could have retaliated against Krillian civilian targets. We chose not to. We could have used this incident to launch a broader war against the Council. We chose peace. He paused to let his words sink in. But make no mistake, humanity will defend itself. We will protect our civilians. We will not submit to threats or ultimatums. Any species that attacks human ships, especially those carrying families and children, will face the full weight of our military capabilities. Admiral Turner stepped forward to stand beside Morrison. The Krillian fleet attacked a convoy they believed was defended by only 6 patrol ships. They thought they were facing easy targets. Instead, they learned that humanity doesn't leave its civilians unprotected. Our stealth fleet had been shadowing that convoy the entire journey precisely because we expected Council aggression. Turner activated a tactical display. Every human colony convoy is similarly protected. Every human settlement has defense capabilities you cannot see. Every human ship has backup you cannot detect. This is what you forced us to become when you demanded our submission. Counselor Zan, now a prisoner aboard a human vessel, was allowed to address the Council one final time. I was wrong, he said simply. His scales were still pale with shock. I believed humanity was weak and unprepared. I thought attacking their civilians would break their will to resist. Instead, I learned that humans are most dangerous when protecting innocents. He looked directly at Vexthor. High Chancellor, I recommend the Council accept humanity's terms. They have demonstrated both capability and restraint. They could have destroyed us all but chose mercy. Do not test them further. Vexthor was silent for a long moment before speaking. Ambassador Morrison, what are humanity's terms? Morrison smiled slightly. We want what we've always wanted. Recognition as a sovereign species. The right to explore and settle unclaimed space, mutual respect, and open trade. We're not asking for special treatment or council membership unless you choose to offer it. We simply want to be left alone to grow and develop in peace. And in return? Vexthor asked. In return, humanity will share some of our technology with council species. We'll establish trade agreements. We'll participate in galactic commerce. We'll even assist with security matters if requested. But we will not submit to oversight, and we will not tolerate threats. Turner added his own condition. and any species that attacks human civilians will face immediate and overwhelming response. What happened to the Krillian fleet was restrained compared to what we're capable of. Remember that the council chambers were completely silent as representatives absorbed what they were hearing. Finally, a counselor from the Varith species stood. The Varati were one of the oldest and most respected species in the galaxy. Ambassador Morrison, Admiral Turner. The Varith Confederation wishes to formally recognize humanity as a sovereign species and establish diplomatic relations. We have watched your actions with great interest and find your commitment to restraint admirable. One by one, other species followed suit. Within an hour, every major council species had offered formal recognition and diplomatic treaties. Hi. Chancellor Vexthor rose from his seat. On behalf of the Tralaxian Empire, I offer humanity our apologies for our aggressive stance. We underestimated you and allowed pride to cloud our judgment. I personally ask forgiveness for the threats made against Earth. Morrison inclined his head respectfully. Apology accepted. High Chancellor, humanity understands that fear and uncertainty drove many of your decisions. We hope that moving forward we can build relationships based on mutual respect rather than fear. Vexthor's compound eyes focused on Morrison. Ambassador, I must ask, how did humanity develop such advanced technology in such a short time? You've only been in space for 200 years. Morrison glanced at Dr. Amanda. Richards, who had joined the transmission. Dr. Richards stepped forward. High Chancellor, humanity learned early in our space exploration that the galaxy was full of species more advanced than us. We knew we couldn't compete in numbers or in established power. So we focused on innovation and preparation. She pulled up images of the ancient derelict ship found in Earth's Kuiper Belt. We also got lucky. We found technology from a species that no longer exists and spent 20 years reverse engineering it. But technology alone doesn't win battles. What makes humanity effective is our strategic thinking and our willingness to innovate. Admiral Turner added context. We also learned from studying all of you. We analyzed Council military tactics, ship designs, and strategic doctrines. We found patterns and weaknesses. We built our fleet specifically to counter Council capabilities. In a way, you taught us how to defeat you. Counselor Zan, listening from his confinement, felt a chill run through him. You've been planning this for decades. We've been preparing for the possibility of conflict since first contact. Turner confirmed. We hoped it would never be necessary, but we weren't willing to gamble our species. Freedom on hope alone. The transmission ended and Morrison turned to Turner. Do you think they'll honor the agreements? Most of them will, Turner said. Fear is a powerful motivator. They've seen what happens when they threaten us. They won't forget. President Lauren Mitchell joined them in the war room. Admiral, what's the status of our fleet? All ships accounted for, Madam President. Casualties were limited to the 3 escorts destroyed in the initial attack. 43 good people who bought time for 30,000 civilians to live. Mitchell's expression was somber. I want those crews honored. They faced impossible odds and held the line. Already being arranged. Ma'am. 3 days later, the New Hope and its sister colony ships arrived at Verdun 4. Katie Martinez stood with her father watching the new world grow larger on the view screen. Dad, are we really safe now? Will the aliens leave us alone? Captain Martinez knelt down to his daughter's level. Katie, do you know why we're safe? She shook her head. We're safe because people like Lieutenant Carter and her crew were willing to fight for us. We're safe because Admiral Turner and the fleet were ready to protect us. We're safe because humanity decided a long time ago that we would never let anyone threaten our families. He pointed out the viewport at the human warships that had escorted them the final leg of their journey. Those ships out there aren't just protecting us from aliens. They're showing the whole galaxy that humans take care of their own. that we'll go to the ends of space to keep our children safe. Katie thought about this seriously. So the aliens are afraid of us now? Martinez smiled. Some of them are. But more importantly, they respect us. They know that we're strong enough to protect ourselves and wise enough to choose peace when we can. On Earth, Admiral Turner stood before a memorial wall being constructed to honor the 43 crew members who died protecting the colony convoy Dr. Richards joined him. The Council is already requesting technology exchanges. They want to know how our kinetic weapons work. We'll share some things, Turner said. But not everything. Humanity needs to maintain our edge.